Have you ever wondered how one tiny decision, a single yes or no from one person, could ripple through time and completely reshape the world we live in today? It sounds like the plot of a sci-fi movie, but history is filled with these incredible moments. Today we're diving into one of the most astonishing examples, the story of a man who held the fate of the entire world in his hands and with a single act of defiance saved us all from nuclear annihilation. The date is September 26, 1983. The Cold War is at its absolute peak. Tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union are so high you could practically feel the static in the air. Just a few weeks earlier, the Soviets had shot down a Korean Airlines passenger jet, and the world was holding its breath, fearing the slightest misstep could trigger a full-blown war. Deep inside a secret bunker near Moscow, a Soviet lieutenant colonel named Stanislav Petrov begins his shift. His job is to monitor the Oko nuclear early warning system. It's a network of satellites designed to detect the launch of American ballistic missiles. For most of his career, this has been a routine, if nerve-wracking job. But tonight would be different. Shortly after midnight, the alarms blare to life. Red lights flash. A giant screen displays the word launch. The system is reporting that a single nuclear missile has been launched from the United States and is heading toward the Soviet Union. Petrov's heart pounds. Protocol is crystal clear. He must immediately report the launch to his superiors, who would then decide whether to launch a retaliatory strike. This is the moment every soldier during the Cold War dreaded. The beginning of the end. But something felt wrong to Petrov. The system was new, and he had been told it was not entirely reliable. More importantly, his training and strategic sense told him that a real first strike from the Americans wouldn't be a single missile. It would be an all-out, overwhelming assault with hundreds of missiles launched at once to cripple the Soviet response. A single missile. It just didn't make sense. It felt more like a system error than a declaration of war. He had to make a choice, and he had only minutes to do it. On one hand, there was the protocol, the direct orders he was meant to follow without question. If he ignored the alarm, and it was real, the Soviet Union would be defenseless. Millions would die, and he would be branded a traitor. On the other hand, if he reported it, and it was a false alarm, he could be the man who single-handedly started World War III. The weight of the world was literally on his shoulders. As his team stared at him, waiting for his command, another alarm went off. Then another and another. In total, the system reported 5 incoming missiles. The situation had just escalated dramatically. 5 missiles was more plausible than 1, but still, it wasn't the massive, coordinated attack he expected. The pressure was immense. His colleagues were panicking. The electronic map was flashing, showing the missile's terrifying trajectory. Every instinct screamed at him to follow the rules, to pick up the phone and report the attack. But Petrov held his ground. He trusted his gut feeling over the computer. He reasoned that if this were a real attack, the system would be showing hundreds of launches, not just a handful. He also knew that ground-based radar had not picked up any corroborating evidence. It was a huge gamble, a terrifying leap of faith based on intuition and logic against the blaring sirens of a multi-million-dollar warning system. He made his decision. He picked up the phone to his superiors, but instead of reporting an incoming nuclear strike, he reported a system malfunction. He told them the alarms were false. For the next several agonizing minutes, everyone in that bunker waited. They stared at their screens, their hearts in their throats, waiting to see if nuclear warheads would start detonating over their cities. But the minutes passed, and nothing happened. The skies remained quiet. It was later confirmed that Petrov had been right. The Oko satellite system had malfunctioned. It had mistaken the reflection of sunlight off high-altitude clouds for the engine flare of intercontinental ballistic missiles. A bizarre, almost unbelievable glitch. Stanislav Petrov's decision not to report the launch, his choice to trust his human judgment over the cold, hard data of a machine, literally saved the world. If he had followed protocol, the Soviet leadership, already on high alert and deeply paranoid, would have almost certainly launched a massive retaliatory strike. The United States would have detected that launch and fired back their own arsenal. The result would have been a global nuclear holocaust, wiping out hundreds of millions of people and plunging the world into a radioactive winter. Our civilization, our history, everything we know and love, would have been vaporized in a matter of hours. For years, Petrov's story was kept secret. He wasn't hailed as a hero, in fact. He was reprimanded for not following procedure and for not properly documenting his actions in the logbook. His superiors were embarrassed by the failure of their cutting-edge system. He was eventually reassigned and took an early retirement. He lived a quiet, modest life, a forgotten man in a small town outside Moscow. It wasn't until the late 1990s, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, that his story finally came to light. The world was stunned to learn how close we had come to annihilation, and how one man's calm reasoning had pulled us back from the brink. He became known as the man who saved the world. This story is more than just a thrilling Cold War anecdote. It is a powerful reminder of the incredible impact a single individual can have on the course of history. Petrov wasn't a world leader or a famous general. He was an ordinary man doing his job. But in a moment of extreme crisis, he demonstrated extraordinary courage, wisdom, and humanity. He refused to be a cog in a machine, even when that machine was screaming at him to start Armageddon. It makes you think, doesn't it? How many other moments like this have there been in history, hidden away in classified documents or lost to time? How often has our world been saved not by grand armies or powerful politicians, but by the quiet, courageous decision of one person to do the right thing? Stanislav Petrov's story teaches us a vital lesson. In an age of increasing automation and reliance on technology, human judgment, intuition, and a healthy dose of skepticism are more important than ever. He showed us that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to question the system, to think for yourself, and to trust your own conscience, especially when the stakes are higher than you can possibly imagine. Our world is still here today because on one fateful night in 1983, one man decided to listen to the quiet voice of reason instead of the loud roar of fear. Thanks for watching. If this story blew your mind as much as it did mine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from history. See you in the next video.